Strange things are happening behind the scenes at YouTube, and it's going to change the weight loss space for good. Millions of views have been removed from Amberlynn Reid's channel, and now her entire revenue stream has fallen apart.
So I became demonetized. It's the reason why I have anything in my life.
In my last video, I talked about how YouTube provides a perverse incentive to its weight loss channels, how it rewards creators by putting them at risk for the views that they receive. Now, Amberlynn has been demonetized on the platform. Years of gaining weight and views have seemingly come to an end for her, and possibly the entire space is going to change. They've finally introduced new policies and are enforcing against content that promotes disordered eating, complete with a handy-dandy report feature, so you can report videos that you feel are doing that, which is exactly what Amberlynn Reid's viewers have been doing. If anything, this correction by the platform is an indication that they now see that this content has always been harmful. And I don't envy them for having to come up with a solution for this. It is a tangled web when it comes to deciphering what is and isn't someone abusing their body on screen with food. Especially for an algorithm. For a human, I guess you just sort of know it when you see it. And yeah, I can see it. But what does this mean for the future of these creators? And more importantly, why now? To figure out why, we need to head to another platform and the other end of the proverbial scale. Eugenia Cooney is one of the internet's longest standing and most recognisable creators. A YouTuber, but mostly TikTok star who has been posting fashion, cosplay and lifestyle content for over a decade, with what is essentially an ED as her USP. Despite being quite dull, TikTok has elevated her to the top of the health and beauty section. And as you might expect from just observing what she looks like and her apparent body fat percentage, she's certainly not a picture of health. TikTok have historically had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Eugenia. On the one hand, she brings in views and money, but on the other hand, her very presence on the platform is an indication to our audience, many of which, as you might expect, are young girls, that her choices and her disorder are not only acceptable but desirable. She routinely gets money thrown at her for just existing on live streams. Personally, as you might expect, I don't really see the value in what she's adding to the space, but because of what she's done to her body, she's been on and off the platform a number of times. This will sometimes result in her trying to play ball with the platform and demonstrate that she's changed and her ED doesn't exist by toning down the shocking full body shots to eating on camera. But that hasn't been enough. She quite clearly still has a problem. And even though her content isn't leaning into that as much anymore, just her very existence on screen is worrying for some and very engaging for others. But this might have changed for good now that TikTok is getting sued. TikTok has been ordered to produce internal documents about its relationship with Eugenia. The lawsuit accuses Meta, TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat of designing their platforms to encourage compulsive use among minors. The October 20th order focuses on how much additional discovery TikTok must provide in connection with the Cooney incident. Plaintiffs asked the court to compel more internal records, arguing that they could show what the company knew about the potential harm to vulnerable users. And while Eugenia herself isn't the one getting sued, this does put a microscope on her content. And TikTok are yet to restore her channel this time. And I think that's made YouTube pay close attention to the kind of content that it is allowed on its site. If, and for legal reasons this is an if, making content with an ED is something that could be seen as harmful to an audience, even if that content isn't specifically about having an ED, then YouTube would see itself as having the right and obligation to fix this for their plus-size creators as well, which could be bad news for mukbangers everywhere. And indeed, anyone who sees the success or lack thereof of Amberlynn as a blueprint that they could have previously followed. That avenue is now closed. The new policy does show that YouTube believes it has a responsibility when it comes to creators embodying or talking about disordered eating. It now seems like the monetary incentive for YouTube has been tipped off the scale by the possibility of legal action. So this hot fix to the problem may actually get these creators out of a cycle of self-destruction for money and short-term gains. But will it actually get these creators to realise their weight loss goals? In my opinion, no, but more on that later.
Type 2 diabetes? Discover the Ozempic Trizone.
I think the method of patching over a problem that these platforms played a part in is an awful lot like another hot fix in the space of fat loss: Ozempic. Like Ozempic and other GLP-1 medications now available to the public, people who've been struggling with overeating, diabetes, and lifelong poor health choices can now be helped out by inhibiting that process by modulating the gut-brain signals that drives appetite, reducing reward-based cravings, and essentially turning the biological noise that pushes them towards overeating in the first place. It doesn't provide a fix to the internal problems that cause overeating, but it does provide a stopgap on the physical layer to give a patient time and perspective on their relationship with food, and more importantly, stop the flow of calories into their system that is causing so much damage to them and their body. They are amazing drugs, but as we discussed in the last video, obesity is a problem of modernity, and using modern medical means to fix it, it's like plugging the holes in a leaking pipe without stopping the water from flowing first. So yes, getting demonetized will make their wallets thinner, but I don't think it's going to make them any thinner themselves, unless and until they solve the underlying problems that are causing their obesity in the first place.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead.
Nicocado Avocado, once skin-tea vegan, then large man, spent 2 years banking outrage and mukbang content, while behind the scenes lost all the weight he gained making his bank. He played the YouTube game. He got to have his cake and eat it too. Or at least that's what he claims. Personally, I don't see this as the Z-Snap mic drop moment that he presents it to be.
So I am the villain, because I've made myself one.
To me, it's only proven that the pressures to gain and maintain an unhealthy amount of weight, you need to get rid of the monetary pressures first, which is why it was only really possible in private. However, he hasn't been totally transparent about how he achieved the fat loss that he's presented to us. I highly suspect he's been on the O, and someone who'd gained that much weight, it's a fair thing to do, but it leads me to question whether the underlying changes have been made. And looking at his current content, it only makes me question it further. I don't really see how long this is going to last. Since losing that weight, he's undergone several cosmetic surgeries to get his skin and fat cells removed. The thing about these surgeries is they're not only expensive, the recovery on surgeries like this is also no joke. So given that his content hasn't really changed, and if anything, he's an even more insufferable character, is his content also at risk? Not just his historical videos, why should this not also be taken down as well? Is the fact that he has a lower body fat percentage enough for this to fly under the ED detection radar, despite his past? And if he can't offer outrage and disordered eating content, what can he or any of these other creators really offer? What value do Amberlynn, Eugenia, and Nicocado add other than being a spectacle? And given that they may have no place else to go, how are they going to find the cash and, probably more importantly, their purpose?
It's like, it's heavier than that. You know, imagine losing Just imagine losing it all, you know?
Banning this content is a fast-acting suppressant to a problem they helped create. But it's also worth mentioning that GLP-1s tend to also work because the person taking them wants them to work as well. This ban is enforced on someone without their will. GLP-1s aren't enforced on people without their will. They also want to change themselves, which is where this ban and these medications differ, and part of the reason why I don't think it's going to be particularly effective. And that's why I believe no policy update is going to be enough to keep it down. This policy won't actually help these creators. It's complete self-preservation from these companies. But what it might do is stop others following this blueprint for success. And hopefully those people will be healthier and happier for it. That's all from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe and click somewhere for the previous video if you've not seen it already. Thank you. Bye.